My name is Anneli Lundmark. I work as the project manager at the cluster of forest technology, and I like to talk about how you can become an attractive employer by giving some examples from our daily work. But I'm gonna start with who are we? Let's see. Um, we are an economic association with 10 member companies. They are either forest machine manufacturers or they manufacture different components to forest machines. And we have been around for about 10 years, helping our member companies to expand their networks, building bridges to the academy, to the researchers, and the forestry companies. And we are proud to say that we are a hub for forest innovation by including the manufacturers, the researchers, and the companies. And we are currently running and participating in a great number of projects with the purpose of developing the forestry industry. And together with our member and collaborators, we will make the forest machines of tomorrow. And our major ongoing project is co-funded by the EU's regional fund. And this project has, to a large extent, defined our way of working, actually. And thanks to this project, we have the strength to expand our collaborations with our, of course, our member companies, but also startups, students, SMEs, and other collaborators along the forestry value chain. And we have also been able to expand our technological development to include the whole value chain, not only the first steps. So what we do is we start by defining the challenge by asking, what does the industry want? We dare to be visionary while we focus on the global goals. And this means that every project that we start must match at least one of the global goals. And in our case, it's most common that it's goal number 5, 13, or 14. We would like to see us as innovative. Let's see. Sorry. We would like to see ourselves as innovative, solution-driven, and high-tech. Our innovation systems ensures forest growth, improving soil preparation, decreasing ground damages, efficient harvesting, and so on. And we strive to shine light on the whole value chain and enable innovations at every stage. So we're basically the stepping stone to the future. But there is one challenge that prevents us from fully succeeding. There are roughly 50-50 men and women in the world, and here in Sweden, it's about 40% female forester owners. But only 15% of women are working in the large-scale forestry, which is a failure, I would say. The number itself doesn't say if the workplace is inclusive, of course, but the not using the whole potential of a whole population is ineffective. And I would say that it's a waste of resources as well. And in addition to this affects the way people are looking at our industry and our sector. And if we don't want to attract people to our industry, we need to do something. So for the sake of being an attractive employer, attracting a variety of people with different backgrounds, we need to change. So what did we do, you may ask? Our collective work with gender equality started for more than 10 years ago. It was a collaborative project for change in the industry by starting to look in the mirror. Basically what you mentioned, Maria, who is the forestry sector? Who works in it? And who do we want to be? This resulted in a letter of intent, and up to this day, we have been working on changing the structures, the image of the forestry sector, ideas that prohibit men and women and non-binary to work and feel happy. What we can do, we can put pressure on our member companies to work with these questions and help and support them along the way. But what can you do? I'll try to give you the answer, or at least some of the answers to your question, by sharing 3 statements or questions that we have heard not just once. The first question is about resistance. We're doing all right, right? This is common in the process when gender equality is about to be implemented. It might be because you're afraid of changes and see your own position as threatened. What you need to do as a leader is to inform about the change and being able to explain why we're doing this. As an employee, if someone says something that you don't feel good about, mention it, call it out, see through it. We need to be better to critically assess situations. Don't let them slip by. And it's common reaction, maybe in a smaller company where people have been working for a long time, they are maybe friends with each other, maybe they see each other outside work. But why change? I mean, I'm working with my best friends, maybe. We're having such a good time. As an example, a CEO told us that he was a he, had started to realize that during the lunch breaks and the coffee breaks, his employees tended to talk about snowmobiles. He did not own a snowmobile and was not happy about the subject that tended to take up too much time. His conclusion was that if I, as a CEO, did not manage to change the subject, what would a newly employed, maybe a young woman, say? I think this story illustrates the importance of inclusive workplace. And I would like to send you this challenge that please reflect on your choice of topic during the lunch break when we get back to our works after Corona. For us to change, we need to know what we have to change. And we need to remember that resistance comes from everywhere and anyone, from men and women and others. And this reaction is often followed by trying to silence the issue, making it a non-issue. Example, this does not affect our business, so we don't really need to work with it. The next question, what's in it for me? It is common to at least our knowledge that gender equality is seen as a side project. But by doing that, you'll never succeed in integrating it into your own business. Our members have worked to incorporate gender equality for quite a long time. However, some have come much further than others, but they all can agree that these benefits and more, of course. So I would say that please prioritize this for the sake of your employees. Our member companies have from time to time have troubles with hiring enough people. And one of our companies saw that the obvious benefits in trying to attract not only male workers, but female, they could maximize the possibility to choose. So their incentive was to the recruitment part. Another member company decreased their sick leave as they had welcomed more women into the workplace. Instead of carrying the heavy packages, the female workers asked for hand trucks. Simple as that. The macho norm can be devastating. And another, a CEO at one of our member companies, have worked hard on incorporating the gender equality and reported that after 2 years of work, they had increased the number of female candidates for job positions from 10% to 50%. This did not solve the recruiting problem, but increased and improved at least the overall. It did not only solve the recruiting problem, but increased the overall work climate, and annual revenue. So I would say make it a priority and a requirement that maybe managers need to incorporate the gender equality in their daily work. The third and the last one, where do we start? Let's say if you have all the employees on board, where do we start? Gender equality and diversity at the workplaces seem like hard work and might result in procrastination. Or sometimes you can't see the problem and therefore not the solution. The lack of knowledge makes it difficult to go from words to actions. And yes, you can start from anywhere. And yes, the number of men and women is one way of working with gender equality. There are many companies who do that, actually. However, it is bigger than that. And depending on your situation, please consider the following. Start with yourself. Educate yourself. If you're the employer, hire a consultant, some with experience within your industry. For example, pretend you're an architect. You might see things that someone else doesn't. And it's the same with the gender perspective. You need to put your gender glasses on. What is your starting point and work your way forward? Using an action plan. Maybe get inspiration from other companies who have worked with this for years. And I promise you, I can give you some examples after this meeting if you need. You might suggest that gender equality and workplace environment is up on the agenda on every meeting. We had actually a follow-up survey for one of our companies that showed that they had increased the work climate to be more acceptable for both men and women by 20 percentage points in a year. Talk to your colleagues about welcoming workplace culture. What is that for you, and what is it for your colleagues? Make sure to make this question a part of every day, because that's what happens when norms are created in the locker room, on the floor, on the parking lot. And take a look at your website. What does it say? Are there things that could be perceived as masculine or macho? Many of our member companies, have worked with a company called Vakna, who are experts in equality and diversity. And one of the first things they got to do was taking a walk through the workplace and pretended that they were someone else. For our manufacturers, this contributed to new insights about the workplace. Ask yourself, are there any limitations here? What assumptions have been made? Do you have a ramp suitable for people using a wheelchair? Or do you have street lights out on the parking lot? Maybe there are tasteless and degrading posters hanging in the workplace. Where you start to improve the workplace does not really matter. The most important thing is that you start. So, if you have managed to identify the norms, the values, actions that are devastating and prevents you from not only hiring more diverse staff, but keeping them, when do you reach the goal? There are 3 things I'd like you to take from this presentation. The first thing is it takes time, and it's okay that it takes time. This is not a sprint, it's an ongoing marathon, and you will never reach the goal, actually. How sad that might sound. And you will face difficulties along the way. But see gender equality as a way of putting you and your business on the map. And at least this is what the future generation will require from you. The second thing is ask for help. And the third and the last thing is start. I'd like to use the metaphor of a park, maybe like this one. It is green, nice looking, And you have some paved roads, some paths. Maybe someone has been taking a shortcut over the lawn. Some paths might not lead to anywhere. So in order for you to achieve change, it's necessary that we need to understand the structures that exist. And maybe you need to take a trip in a helicopter and see it from above, to see the structures, the people before you that have made it possible, the traditional views that change men and women. Human actions have made these roads and structures. You don't get these paved roads after just one walk and one way. We must continue to walk, move on, and act in order to pave new ways. Only then we will achieve structural change that is maintained. Thank you for listening.